You're listening to an After Dinner Conversation magazine podcast. After Dinner Conversation believes humanity is improved by ethics and morals grounded in philosophical truth, and that truth is discovered through intentional reflection and respectful debate. In order to facilitate this process, we have created a growing series of print books, a monthly short story magazine, and 2 different podcasts. This podcast, Philosophy Ethics Short Story Audiobooks, provides audiobook recordings of stories that have appeared in our magazine. And our companion podcast, Philosophy Ethics Short Story Discussions, is where we discuss the ethics of the choices made in the stories as a way to model the kinds of discussions we hope you're having about these readings with friends, family, or students. We would love it if you went over to check it out. I'm Roberta, your narrator and story editor at After Dinner Conversation Publishing. Thank you for spending your time listening to our podcast and for reading the magazine. Thank you for supporting us through your magazine subscriptions and through patreon.com/afterdinnerconversation. And of course, if you enjoy this audiobook reading, please subscribe to our podcast, share it on social media, and suggest it to friends. Today's story is The Devil You Know, written by David Wiseman and published in our July 2021 magazine. The Devil You Know by David Wiseman. I met the devil today. He was walking down Main Street, right by the Undertaker in B, which is a little town near here, and which for obvious reasons I'd better not name. I recognized him straight away, because he had furry legs with hooves for feet. Well, almost right away. At first I thought he was just some guy in fancy dress, but who dresses up like that on Christmas Eve? Not only that, he clip-clopped as he walked, and who has an outfit with sound effects? And he wasn't alone. He had at least 2 smaller devils with him. I say at least because although I can picture them now, the edges of that picture are a little fuzzy, so yes, 2 for sure, but maybe 3. I took them for boys out with their dad doing last-minute shopping, looking for something for their mom, so 2 fits the picture I have in my mind. But who dresses their kids up in fancy dress to match their dad? I was so taken by the dad's legs. Well, all the way from his chest down, the more I think about it, and the clip-clopping that even now his face is hard to place. But I'm pretty sure he was wearing a hat, and when I picture that, I reckon it was a white cowboy hat, and with some horns on it too. Horns like cattle might have, with black tips. Although I seem to recall by convention they're supposed to be goat's horns. Besides the horns, the hat had a black band around it, but wouldn't you expect the whole hat to be black? Maybe that old black hat, white hat thing isn't true after all. Either way, horns on a cowboy hat didn't make a lot of sense, even for a fancy dress costume. But then I haven't been to a fancy dress party for a very long time, so I'm no expert. The 3 of them, or 4 maybe, were coming right at me, the low winter sun straight in their eyes. There's not space for 4 abreast outside the Undertaker, so I stepped off the path into the road to make room. Maybe they hadn't seen me at all, because they just walked on till they were level with me, and I just stood there, gawping.
"Hey, fella, what's up?"
said the dad, stopping and turning toward me. What's up? Only everything, where to start. So I mumbled.
Nothing.
But I couldn't leave it, could I?
I just wondered if... surprised, eh?
He looked up and down the empty street before asking.
You're not from around here, right?
No, we just moved to... I waved vaguely in the direction of my new home, about 30 minutes down the road.
Ah, okay. Well,
he said, ready to move on.
Merry Christmas to you.
Wait, I blurted out louder than I meant to. Who are you? He turned back to me.
Here I'm Nick. Nick Bafflement. Other places I got other names, but I think you already know me.
I'm not sure. Maybe I do. You live here in B? I wouldn't have thought. In this sleepy little...
No, not full-time. Just here for the holidays.
You celebrate this holiday? I mean... I hesitated over saying the word for fear of tempting a thunderbolt to strike me down, but he said it to me, hadn't he? You celebrate Christmas? I looked again at the blotchy white and gray fur that started sparsely across his chest under his tweed jacket, thickening as it ran down his body to muscular legs tipped with shiny black hooves.
Of course. One of my great successes, don't you think? Your great success, but... Oh yeah, Jesus, Muhammad, Abraham, all the other guys like that, all mine.
He smiled and leaned toward me slightly, so a cloud of foul breath rolled over me.
To be honest, I'm still pretty smug about 'em all. Used to be that there were so many gods nobody knew who did what and who to pray to. Then I got the idea of just one God. Counterintuitive, right? But the arguments over whose God is the real God brought more misery into the world than anything before or since. Yep, proud of that.
My head was reeling. Was this guy just playing me for a fool?
Am I dreaming? Did I die without noticing?
I protested.
Hey, no, not so far as I can see. You look fine, but if you're feeling bad, then you should...
He looked back at the funeral home, then thought better of it.
Okay, maybe not there, but across the road at the Salvation Army store. They'll let you sit in there for a while. No, I'm fine. The people here, do they know you're here, staying for the holidays? Do they?
Don't they what? Get up a bunch of vigilantes and throw them out of town? Call a lynch mob? A lynch mob in B was even less likely than me standing on Main Street casually chatting with the devil, which was what I was apparently doing.
Folk around here know I like a little bit of peace and quiet when I'm in town, and I try not to bother 'em. Mostly if they see me coming, they cross the street to run that little errand they nearly forgot, making out they didn't see me. It's like that most places I go these days. People mind their own business and look the other way. I appreciate that. Where else do you go?
As I asked, I thought of hell and added lamely,
Down there?
And pointed a crooked finger to the ground.
Hoo-hoo, down there,
he said in a spooky voice, pointing with a shaky finger to mimic mine.
No, down there is all closed up. Has been for centuries. Got too crowded. Besides, there was nothing down there that couldn't be done right here. So where? All over. A week here, another there. We got offices worldwide. All the big cities and some fairly out-of-the-way places, too. There's opportunities everywhere. Offices? You have offices? Incorporating was probably the single best thing I ever did. Meant I could delegate so much. Mostly it runs itself nowadays. I can put my feet up and do little more than watch, sometimes for decades. But when I look back, I can't imagine what it would be like running things in the old way. It'd be ridiculous. Gives me the shudders to think of it. There'd be kind of creeping, sickly goodness everywhere with only me pushing back at it. Let me get this right,
I said slowly.
You've turned into some kind of jet-set corporate executive, and you don't want my soul in exchange for my heart's desire? Where have you been, friend?
He threw back his head and snorted, a kind of cross between a laugh and a whinny.
Do you have any idea how much a single soul is worth today? Even a hardly used one like yours?
I shook my head dumbly.
Less than the cost of a cell phone, and a very cheap one, too. Not one of your fancy things. Nobody deals in singles anymore. Everything's wholesale, bought and sold in bundles of 2 million here, 10 million there.
His hooves clopped on the sidewalk, seemingly impatient to be done with me.
The hat,
I said shakily, anything to keep him talking.
A cow? And horse's hooves? I thought goat. Did I get that wrong too? We never liked that goat motive, and it was never my idea, but kind of stuck for a while. But horse, goat, cow, elephant, doesn't matter really. We're not strong on any of them. People see what they want to see.
Behind him there was an impatient skittering of small hooves. In my stupefied amazement, I had forgotten his small companions until that moment. He looked down at them and ushered them out from behind his legs. From each side of him, a small version of himself peered up at me. There may have been a third between his legs, but could be I'm just imagining that now.
Yours?
My question was superfluous, but I asked it anyway.
Hell yes,
he announced proudly.
How old?
I asked, just as he was a regular dad and his cow-horned, horse-legged miniature clones were regular children.
These guys?
He seemed startled by the question and stroked his chin while looking to the sky. I noticed he had a wispy, gingery mustache and a poor excuse for a beard, like he hadn't shaved for a week or so and nothing much had sprouted. But then if he was taking a few days off for the holidays, why not? He interrupted my wandering thoughts with,
I don't really remember, but they're sure growing fast these days. Maybe 800 or 900. I know there was some bloody crusade going on somewhere, but then again, there have been quite a few of them over the years.
To underline the humor he saw in this, he gave another snorting bray, which the little clones echoed with their own high-pitched whinny. I stared at the clone peering round his right leg. He had black eyes set in a pale round face, reminding me of nothing so much as a currant bun ready for the oven.
We should be getting along,
the dad said, in that polite way you do when you're getting bored with too long a conversation with a slight acquaintance.
No, wait. You can't just walk away, I cried. This is too...
I stopped. Too what? Too weird, too scary, too ridiculous?
Too important,
I asserted, hoping flattery might delay him.
Look, I have some things to pick up and these guys are getting restless. Do you want an autograph or something? I used to specialize in doing things for good folk like you. It's Christmas, so anything in particular you'd like? Oh, but no selfies. I don't do selfies. I just feel as though I should do something. Anything, but certainly something. What will my wife say when I tell her? They'll think I'm crazy. But they'll think I should have done something. Maybe made some kind of stand.
It felt quite empowering to say that much, and I was a little surprised at myself asserting right over wrong like that, and with this guy of all guys.
Oh, now I get it,
he grinned.
You mean do something like challenge me to mortal combat? Then using some magical powers, I guess, vanquish me and save the world? That kind of something?
He couldn't have been more scathing.
No, obviously not. But don't you think I should at least try?
As I spoke, I felt into the big right-hand pocket of my parka in case I had forgotten a hunting knife lurking in its depths. The best I could feel was the plastic cap from a long-lost ballpoint.
Okay,
he shrugged.
If you like, but let's get on with it. I thought we were getting along fine. We were,
I reassured him.
I mean, we are. It's been nice to meet you and your boys.
They were staring up at me from their black button eyes, their little black hole mouths hanging open like I was a madman, the like of which they had never seen before.
So what are you going to do? Stab me with those knitting needles?
The knitting needles. The whole purpose of this errand had been to get knitting needles for my wife. They were protruding from the little paper bag I held in my left hand. But how to get them out, how to use them with enough force in a single strike and still retain any element of surprise. I stood staring at him, shopping in one hand, pen cap in the other.
Maybe not the needles today, eh?
He said slowly, as one might speak to a toddler holding a box of matches.
So what now? I don't think you've thought this through very well. A fight here on the street in front of the children? What kind of example would that be? How long before someone calls the cops? Then you'll babble on about saving the world, and in no time flat you'll be spending Christmas with the guys in white coats, while your favorite chair will be sitting empty by the fireside.
Put like that, it seemed anything I could do was futile. I let go of the pen cap in my pocket.
No, unless you've got some magic powers, and I'm pretty sure you haven't, then it's probably best to stand down your red alert. Here, let's shake. We'll be going.
Mesmerized, I took my hand from my pocket and proffered it limply towards his. He took it in cold, clammy fingers. It was like shaking hands with a dead squid.
Well,
I said a little lamely, trying to retain some vestige of self-respect.
At least I didn't sell my soul. I can say that. I didn't do a deal with a...
They had moved a few clip-clops away from me, but he looked back. It was my turn to squint in the sun.
You didn't do a deal,
he called back.
Oh, Robert, I think you already did. I'm pretty sure we've got a file on you somewhere. There's a file on everybody. Somewhere.
And now the discussion questions. Number 1. If you, like the narrator in the story, met the devil, what would you do? What, if any, questions might you ask? Number 2. Traditionally, the devil is responsible for great evil. If, when you meet the devil, he is just going about his day, as in the story, do you have any duties to fight or confront him? That is to say, do you need to confront an evil person even when they aren't actively doing evil? Number 3. What do you think would have happened if the narrator had tried to fight the devil? What would have happened if he had successfully killed the devil? And number 4. Do those that do evil have the right to moments of peace and quiet when they are left alone? Or should they always be confronted? What do you think? We've been reading The Devil You Know by David Wiseman, and the discussion continues next week with the story The Fortune Teller by Harmon Burgess. If you enjoyed this story, head over to our companion podcast, After Dinner Conversation Discussions, and listen to our discussions of this and other short stories from our magazine. We want to hear what you think. Let's continue the discussion on our webpage in the comment section or on our Facebook page. Links are in the description. Thank you for joining us, and until next time, stay safe and let's keep the discussion alive.